Well, hello there, you beautiful, beautiful, amazing, wonderful people. It's me again. This is video 2 of 2. I'm better than Domino's. Well, actually, I'm equal to Domino's because they do 2 for Tuesday, don't they? But at least I'm not completely sloppy and all the topping falls off me when you try and pick me up. I don't like Domino's. Gross. Not a nice pizza, in my opinion. I want to go through a segment of a doc that I'm going to go through the entire doc tomorrow live because it's been bugging the absolute shit out of me since we've learned some things in the Idaho 4 case surrounding when Dylan Mortensen leaves her bedroom to go to she goes past Xana's, that's stuck in my brain, which is the point, and goes to Bethany Funk. It's bugged me. I want to go back to the 911 call and just talk over and get your thoughts and feelings as well after the video, which you can leave down below. And there's just something uncomfortable about this call, this transcript, and yeah, there's just something off of it. And I want you to see whether you think that I'm overreaching, whether I'm reading into it too much, whether I'm just a conspiracy theorist, or whether you share my thoughts and feelings about it. Let's talk about it. Oh, and by the way, you're looking absolutely amazing. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. We are over the 100,000 subscribers now. I'm going to be doing a 100,000 subscriber live in the upcoming weeks when the plaque thing arrives, and we're going to open it live together. You're actually going to see it before I do. But for now, let's just talk about this. 911 call. The state contends that the entirety of the 911 call is bollocks. Sorry, not bollocks. Call should be admitted because the statements therein are either non-hearsay, i.e. not admitted for the truth of the matter asserted, or they are accepted from the hearsay rule, as present sense impressions and or excited utterances. Defendant generally objects to this admission, which I think I agree with the objection, and we're going to talk about that in a bit, but takes particular issue with 3 statements within the call. The court finds defendant's objection to these specific 3 statements well placed, but will allow the balance of the call because the statements are either not assertions, not admitted for their truth, and or they are accepted from the rule as set forth in Exhibit B here too. Right. So look, initial statements. Number 1, the 911 call begins with BF, Bethany Funk, telling dispatch, something is happening. Something's happened. And I think this here, something is happening, is quite interesting. Because what we've learned is that Dylan Mortensen, they see and hear what was the noises and things. They see someone, or she sees somebody in the house. And she hears what she hears. She says she hears some crying, whatever. She hears someone say, I'm here to help. And she's scared. She says that she's scared, confirms that she's scared. And then she leaves her room and goes to Bethany Funk's and passes Xana Canodal's room and claims that the door is open, which is something that for a long period of time, we have believed that that door was shut. We was told that door was shut. We was told that Hunter had to force the door open. That's what we was told. And we've used that to factor that into how we first felt about the 911 call. Are you with me so far? Would you agree? Even if you don't agree with my overall opinion, I think that the vast majority of people out there would be of an agreement, in agreement that when we very first heard the transcript, a lot of people argued that, look, they didn't see what was happening. The door was shut and they had to force the door open. And then Hunter obviously saw inside the room, and some people have felt that he perhaps tried to take the hit for the girl, so they didn't see, didn't hear, didn't fucking learn anything, and him himself took it on the chin. But to say that something's happened, and then quickly something's happened in our house, we don't know what. This statement falls squarely within the present sense impression exception, given that BF was experiencing concern that something was wrong. But I don't think that you can have this so many hours later. your present sense impression, how long does present sense impression last? Now, they've covered their ass by saying something's happening as if something is still happening, something's ongoing, when in reality, that's not. Something happened 8 hours ago. And what has happened is very different to what we very first thought, in that we have two situations, right? We have someone saying there's evidence of a cleanup, and we have a latent footprint outside Dylan Mortenson's door. Now, I believe, and I could be wrong, I'm not claiming that this is factual, I'm claiming this is my opinion. When you think that Dylan Mortenson sees the door, sees Xana on the floor, she sees her. Now, we've been told Xana put up one hell of a fight, and the injuries that she sustained, I touched on this yesterday or the day before, and she sees her. And then we've got all of this interaction with there being videos or pictures and deleting and contacting parents. Is that normal to be contacting parents at this time of the morning? Because they were up for a long period of time. It's not that they immediately fell asleep. They were interacting with one another. Yes, there was a dark period where they went off of social media, but I believe something was happening in that period of time. In that, I think there's like an hour or an hour and a half where it goes dark, that something else is happening. Something else is happening there. And when you talk about cleanup, evidence of a cleanup, I believe that the evidence of a cleanup, when they were trying to say, look, the time frame that the killer supposedly took, there wouldn't have been enough time. There wouldn't have been enough time to do the crime if you're believing that the white Hyundai Elantra or the white car is the person who did it. They're given approximately, 8 minutes to do it all. But when you factor in a cleanup, you're way surpassing that. You're not doing it. But if you're factoring that cleanup into that 1.5 dark period, then that's very, very different. Now, if Dylan Mortenson has come out of a room, seen that, and they've decided to go and check, go and look, and they've stood in something, for instance, and then she's gone to go back to her room. Now, did she go back to her room to get a phone? Did she go back to her room to do anything? Who knows? But would they then be inclined to try to clean up the damage that they had done to the crime scene? Now, I'm not saying that they've done anything untoward, in terms of some people believe that they were actually involved in the murders themselves. Now, I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to do is make sense of a cleanup and trying to make sense of the 911 call, because I can't. Because if we go to here, look, number 2, the state argues this statement. Look, female. One of the roommates who's passed out, and she was drunk last night, and she's not waking up. So imagine this, right? So they're saying she's not waking up. She was drunk last night. She's passed out. Now, with the door shut and you can't get in there, that makes sense, because you don't know what's the other side of the door, do you? But with the door open and full access to the scene, and you're saying she's not waking up, well, how do you know she's not waking up? How do you know she's not waking up? Are they standing at a distance? Xana! 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 Have they gone up to her? Have they walked up to her and then ascertained she ain't waking up, mate? She ain't waking up. That's the issue I have. The issue that I have is the 911 call. They seem to push the 911 call like everything is transpiring there and then. They are learning everything about what has happened there and then. And Hunter is the primary person in that story, that he takes the hit, he tells them, and moves on from that. Now, what I'm saying and what I'm bringing to you is that doesn't make sense if that door was open. It doesn't make sense. And if there genuinely is evidence of a cleanup, because you've then got to think, well, the killer, if there genuinely is evidence of a cleanup, then the time frame is way off for the killings. It weren't then, and it weren't the white car, because there just simply wouldn't have been enough time unless they were working with someone inside the house and they continued to clean up after the people who did the crime had left. Does that make sense? But if you're saying that's the killer, that's definitely the killer, it was done in that period of time, and there's still evidence of a cleanup, and you don't want to say, well, they're involved, they were helping the killers and they helped to clean up. If there's not, if there ain't that, then who cleaned up and why did they clean up? Which would lead me to believe that the only reason that someone would have cleaned up is if they went into that room and then they walked out the blood back out of the room to their room, explaining why there was a latent footprint outside Dylan Mortenson's room, which is evidence of a cleanup. Which then leads me to believe, well, if that happened, then by the time this call took place, you abso-fucking-lutely knew what had happened before you got on that call. But you was trying to make out that you didn't know what was happening on this call. Which then leads me into a crossroads, and that's that either this call, the transcript that we have heard, did not happen when we were told. It was an earlier call, which that would explain the absence of any sirens or anything like that in the background, because remember, the mayor said that he heard sirens, yet there was no sirens on that call. But I'm digressing. I'm trying to conclude whether when this call was made, when the 911 call was made at just before noon, that they're trying to say that is that call, why the people on that call would seemingly be suggesting that they don't know what's happening, they don't know what's going on, and furthermore, they seem to learn some things during the call if that door was open and if there was evidence of a cleanup. Let me know down below what you think, because to me, the math just simply ain't mathing. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Smash like if you haven't done already. And join me tomorrow live when we go over this entire doc in full live and we talk about it together. Live time. Love you all. Mwah.